on Context. In our wired global village, is there such a thing as disconnecting from it all, even for one day? I'm Lorna Duick, and you're watching Context, the show that looks at life beyond the headlines. In a world that runs 24/7, there is a resurgence in a movement that is urging us to take a day of rest. As stressed out as some of us are, is the ancient wisdom of a Sabbath day making a comeback? One group says yes, and that a national day of unplugging is necessary in an age where there's an endless stream of information coming at us from all angles. Today, we're putting it into context, whether the idea of a day of rest is essential for balance in our lives, and if it's even possible. Joining us now from New York City is Dan Rollman, the founder of the Sabbath Manifesto. He's an Emmy Award-winning copywriter with 2 Super Bowl commercials to his credit, and he's part of the movement to get us all to unplug for a day. So Dan, this is a fascinating project, Reboot, where you're trying to take your spiritual roots and make it go culture-wide. Tell us about it.
Sure. So Reboot is a Jewish think tank that is has members across the United States and also some in Canada and England, and it's really a group of creative professionals who come together and aren't necessarily very religious. I mean, I consider myself a Reformed Jew. I'm not actively involved in a religious capacity. We basically come together and look at the traditions of religion that we were brought up with to varying degrees, and brainstorm creative ways to reinterpret these traditions in a way that make them more meaningful for us in our modern lives. So again, my version of the Sabbath when I was young might have meant going to synagogue on Friday nights, but that was not connecting to me, so nor the others that I came up with the Sabbath Manifesto with. So instead we said, okay, if we don't want the same Sabbath that we were introduced to as kids, then what is going to resonate with us in a more modern way? And Reboot is doing this with various projects. So it is, again, it's formed on some basic Jewish principles, but it's really not a group that is driven by strong Orthodox religious principles.
So then tell us, Dan, what is the Sabbath Manifesto?
Sure. So the Sabbath Manifesto is a non-religious set of 10 principles that's designed to basically carve out a day of rest within our increasingly busy lives. So it's first and foremost driven by the number 1 principle, which is to avoid technology, and really just gives people a set of guidelines to follow and hopefully take inspiration from on how they can possibly take a day off and from their hectic lives in a more modern manner.
So this is your version of a practice of Judaism, but you wanted the Sabbath Manifesto to appeal to people of all faiths or those without a specific faith. Why is that?
Yeah, well, I think the concept of the Sabbath and a day of rest is not exclusive to Judaism, and when I worked with the team and created this Sabbath Manifesto concept, it was really important to me to create something that could be openly interpreted by all religions. So, you know, obviously the Jewish Sabbath is from Friday at sunset till Saturday at sunset, but one of the core elements in the manifesto that we created is that you can choose your day of rest on any day of the week that you wanted. And it's been interesting. Since we launched the project, we've heard from a lot of groups outside of Judaism who have connected with the concept and introduced it to their communities and congregations, you know, from a variety of different religions.
You suggest 10 principles. Tell us about those 10 principles and why you picked them.
Sure. So the 10 principles, I have them here, are the first one is avoid technology. The second is connect with loved ones. Then nurture your health. Get outside. Avoid commerce. Light candles. Drink wine. Eat bread. Find silence. And give back. And so these principles, some of them are taken from Jewish traditions like the bread and the candles, and these are just more traditions that I grew up with and loved having in my weekly life from a traditional perspective. But on a bigger picture, I'm in this group called Reboot, which is a Jewish think tank, and we basically had dialogue about how could we create a day of rest that would have meaning for us in our lives. And a lot of us had grown up going to synagogue and didn't really necessarily connect with all the religious elements of the Sabbath. And so we said, what would a Sabbath be like for us that we could connect to? And everybody felt this strong addiction to technology, so that was what really drove it. Everybody wanted a little bit more time to be with loved ones. So really a lot of it was, there was some inspiration taken from the Jewish Sabbath, but a lot of it was really just a group of us saying, if we could create our own weekly day of rest, what would that look like?
All right, thus the cell phone sleeping bag. You just pop this thing away and you give us your option of a day of rest, what you'd like to take. Why do you think that the rhythm was established for humanity coming down from command from God to do this rest stuff?
It's an excellent question, and one that I'm probably not wise enough to give an answer to. I think it's more that I do recognize that that concept is becoming increasingly antiquated in our, increasingly spread up lives. And I think, with the Sabbath Manifesto, we just wanted to carve out this template that people can take and interpret, and hopefully give them grounds to just say, all right, I'm going to unplug, I'm going to spend time with loved ones, I'm going to get outside, I'm going to find silence. A lot of things, which is, a lot of concepts which are increasingly difficult as our lives get more and more sped up and busy.
Oh, that was Dan Rollman of the Sabbath Manifesto in New York City. And he's got us thinking here at the audience. So Heather, how about you? What do you think? The idea of technology rest at least once a week?
Well, it's killing me. I have 2 cell phones here, one for work and one for myself. To turn them off is horrible. Every morning I get up, I turn on my computer, I check my work mail, I check my home Hotmail, I turn on all my cell phones. I went to Sierra Leone, Africa in May, and it was horrible not being able to contact anybody because technology is intermittent over there. So we have become so charged into our cell phones and communicating, whereas when I grew up, we had a cell phone the size this big, and when you wanted to talk to your mother, she just yelled at you.
Okay, anybody else on taking a rest from technology, taking a rest thing there? Okay, back row there, Jack.
It takes a lot of effort to turn off your cell phones for a full day, and I guess I'm not legalistic about it, but I make a real concerted effort not to check emails on Sundays. And I tell my people, if you need to get a hold of me, if it's an emergency, just call me. But if you send an email, you're not going to get an answer until Monday morning.
All right, well, look, we get to give away a cell phone sleeping bag to the studio audience here. So thank you for letting me use your cell phone. There you go. Now it's your turn to answer that question. What do you think? Do you typically take a day off each week for relaxation? Call us at 1-800-215-4913 or send an email to answers@contextwithlorna.com. We're on Facebook and Twitter at Context TV, and we're going to be back with the answers from the audience after this.